I know this is a first world problem, but for the last 3 days, I have been trying to make Zoom work with my DSLR camera. I'm able to get my DSLR to work in like programs like OBS, which is what I use to live stream stuff. However, I could not figure out how to get it to work in Zoom. And what I eventually figured out is the new version of Zoom blocks virtual webcams. I don't know why. I don't know why they did that. And it's a very new problem, which is why I couldn't find anything on the internet about it for like 3 days until I figured out how to Google better or whatever. So I downloaded an earlier version of Zoom. It's only been like a week that the new version that blocks virtual webcams has come out. And now it works. And when I'm having my Zoom meetings, I don't have to switch computers, which is nice. I can just use the computer that I have, because this computer doesn't have a working webcam. It's not entirely true, but it's a long story. I mean, hey, we got time. The computer I'm using is this iMac that I found on the street in Brooklyn. The webcam actually functions, but the screen doesn't, so I don't like to keep it on my desk. I just keep it on the floor here, tucked against the wall, and then I use a different monitor to use it, because free computer that runs pretty well. It's the best computer I own, and I got it for free. So I'm gonna keep using that one. Okay, bye!
Good morning, quarantiners. Today is Thursday, April 9th, day 26th of our diet pandemic isolation. I say diet because as pet owners, we have a moral obligation to take our dogs out 3 times a day to let them tinkle, etc. Unless anyone has any tips about how to teach a dog how to use the toilet, which I'm totally up for. And I have gone down a bit of a YouTube rabbit hole lately looking at dogs using toilets out of sheer morbid curiosity. But I also I have not yet worked up the courage to try to teach these girls how to do that. And I don't think I will. It is very impressive that other people have done it. Speaking of morality, that's what I want to start this discussion about. The moral efficacy of having your groceries delivered during a pandemic. It feels like kind of a double-edged sword, but I think I've come up with a moral conclusion I can live with without feeling like I've had to make too many compromises. First, let's talk about the pros and cons about having your groceries delivered during a pandemic. Pros, you're keeping someone employed. Pros, you're keeping someone employed. We're probably seeing record high unemployment right now. I don't know if that's true. I'm just assuming it is because so many people are out of work because of this pandemic. And by ordering groceries, you are keeping somebody at the grocery store employed who might otherwise be laid off. Not you individually, but as a whole, a bunch of people ordering groceries achieves that. Line item 2, you are limiting your exposure and therefore keeping those you love and are currently living with statistically safer. 3, you're currently heeding the CDC's advice according to their official website. They are recommending that people order their groceries if possible. Also, by avoiding the grocery store, you are lowering your possibility of spreading the disease to several people if there is a chance that you are a carrier. And you get to avoid lines. Everybody hates lines. And in lines, it's very difficult to maintain social distancing. Now we get to our cons list. While you may be keeping somebody employed, you're also putting them at a higher risk of becoming infected. And they could very well just start collecting unemployment during this time while staying safe at home. So it's probably financially a wash for them. It's probably financially better for the economy to have more people employed, though. Since that person is delivering to several different households, the likelihood of them catching the disease and then transferring it to you goes up. You may not get everything on your list with the way that shopping services work. Also, delivery can be a bit pricey, so if you recently lost your job, you may want to be pinching your pennies, and that extra cost for delivery may be a deal breaker for you. So my take is I'm going to keep doing my own grocery shopping, while still taking the precautions to make sure that I'm keeping myself and others safe. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to only go to the grocery store every other week. I'm going to try to go longer if possible. I'm only going to go to the grocery store when I'm out of key ingredients that make up the staples that we've been living off of during this time. And every time I'm going to try to stock up on at least 2 weeks worth of food. And if you, like me, are going to try to do your own grocery shopping, the CDC says to take these precautions. You've probably heard these already, but we're going to do it anyway. Stay at least 6 feet away from all people at all times. Harder to do that in the grocery store because of lines and passing people in the aisles and whatnot, but try to maintain that 6-foot buffer. Cover your mouth and nose with a cloth face covering when you have to go out in public. When you do have to go to the grocery store in person, go during hours when there are going to be fewer people there. For example, early morning or late night. If you are a person who is at higher risk for severe illness, call the local stores around you and find out if any of them have special hours for people at higher risk. A lot of grocery stores are doing this. If they do, try to shop during those hours, obviously. Disinfect your shopping cart and use disinfecting wipes if available. Do not touch your eyes, nose, or mouth. If possible, this is one that people might not think to do. Use touchless payments, like using Apple or Google Pay or any of those services that let you use your phone on the keypad rather than having to take out a card and touch numbers and stuff. If you do have to use one of the keypads, use hand sanitizer immediately afterwards. And when you get home, of course, wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. A lot of this stuff seems common sense and you've heard it all over the place already, but it's still a good reminder. If you are at high risk, it may make more sense to have your groceries delivered. But what I've been doing and what I'm going to continue doing is go to the grocery store myself because I am generally pretty healthy, if a bit of a hypochondriac. I'm young, I'm generally low risk, and there's little to no chance that I'm carrying the disease because we've been doing a really good job social distancing here. Hopefully, I'm right in thinking that maybe I'm doing the people who need those grocery services a solid by not using them, because I don't think that we necessarily need them. All that being said, let me know in the comments if you disagree, if you think I'm being an idiot. Honestly, the grocery delivery services are hard to come by right now. That kind of feels like a first world problem, but I understand that they're trying to do what the CDC is telling them, and you don't really want to go against the advice of the CDC, generally speaking. So, I don't know. That's all. Thanks for stopping by. Chase your quarantine dreams, and cheers.